Hello, 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 you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the 10 Dimensions of Wellness podcast. I am your host and the founder of the 10 Dimensions of Wellness, Cammie Red, and today's episode is all about finding balance between career success and personal well-being. We are joined by Dr. Kristy Taylor, founder of WORxK Solutions, LLC, and a featured speaker at our upcoming 10 Dimensions of Wellness virtual summit. Now, Dr. Taylor brings a wealth of knowledge on occupational wellness, sharing her journey and the moment she realized that career accomplishment should never come at the cost of health. Today, she'll offer practical advice on setting goals that align with our values, creating essential boundaries, and prioritizing self-care, even with busy work demands. Her approach shows how wellness isn't just a personal benefit, it enhances creativity, problem solving, and overall fulfillment in our professional lives. So if you're ready to gain insight into building a balanced and satisfying career without sacrificing your well-being, stay tuned for some actionable strategies and inspiring stories from Dr. Kristy Taylor. Woo!
Woo! Hey, Cammie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am so good. I'm so excited to be here to talk to your guests. Excited about the upcoming project that we have, the 10 Dimensions of Wellness Conference. So I'm very excited to speak to you.
I'm so grateful to have you on. I'm grateful that you even going to be a part of the 10 Dimensions Wellness, the virtual summit. That's so exciting. I'm excited and looking forward to it. It's in a month and a half now, away. So you guys, if you're listening, go to the website. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, the link is going across the bottom of the screen for you to grab your tickets. The tickets are $85 and they will be $85 until that night. And if you'd like to sit in on one of our VIP sessions, the tickets are a little bit higher. Now, Dr. Kristy, again, thank you for being on the show, but why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers where WORxK Solutions LLC came from and what it is that you guys do?
Well, at WORxK Solutions, we focus on supporting mission-driven individuals and organizations in the social impact sector in two ways. We focus on career building and career branding, as well as building resiliency. We like to think of ourselves, or we champion ourselves as a prescription for change. So if you've noticed, the way that I spell work is WORxK. That RX stands for prescription. We are the remedy. We try to get to the root cause of what challenges individuals are facing in their own career. And we use a cognitive therapy approach to support clients with not only career branding, but holistic career resiliency. It's very important. And on the other part of that, in working with businesses, I work with businesses to really identify the root cause of challenges that they may be having. And we work together and partner together to write a prescription for change, whether that is implementing training, coaching, working to improve systems. I actually have my own framework called the REBT-DEIA framework, which is that cognitive model, rational emotive behavioral therapy. And so I really focus on a holistic, and that's holistic with an H and a W, holistic coaching model to support my clients to build these resilient workplaces and careers.
I love it. I absolutely love that. But let's take a step back and let's talk about Dr. Kristy for a moment, and then we'll come back to WORxK Solutions. Your journey into wellness started with a personal realization about the importance of balancing career and health. Can you share that turning point and how it impacted you?
Absolutely. So my background is actually in health education. I spent years teaching health education. My doctorate degree is in health science. But for all of this health science and health education and all of the things that I used to espouse and teach and educate and empower the community, I actually wasn't using those tips and the knowledge that I had to take care of myself, right? I really leveraged my career as I used it as a kind of a deflection, right, from trauma. In my early 30s, I experienced a miscarriage, and it wasn't even just the miscarriage itself. So much happened, right? And I said, okay, I shifted my focus and began to say, okay, I'm going to build out this career, but I put everything into the career and not put everything into developing myself, right? I kind of emotionally shut down and I focus on what I have to be. And I did some research on this, Kimmy, and especially in the Black community, Black women, we focus on titles and we use that as a way of uplifting ourselves,
Our
right? And
accolades
I
and
was
letting
really, I was
people.
really focused on like moving up that career ladder. But then time after time, because I was so focused on that, when it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, oh my gosh, I literally would just, I'm not going to say I had a complete meltdown. Shoot, I would just like, boom and keep going. It was just like I wasn't stopping to acknowledge any of the things that I was actually accomplishing, or if something didn't go well. So I was really known as that person who was like, man, she's a go-getter. She's ambitious, right? But the problem was I was ignoring all of the signs that I was actually having a meltdown, because I would just like, if something didn't go right, I would just be like, well, I got to keep going because I got to get there and build. Cammie, at the age of 37, right? When that final little, somebody put that final pin in the balloon, I found myself deflating.
Yeah.
Okay. I found myself on a therapist's couch and did not even know. Really, I found myself on my mama's couch because I was like, I'm done. I packed up, went home, and then I went to a therapist, and she was like, Kristy, do you know that most likely you had a nervous breakdown, but you just kept working through it? Because it was just like, I gotta have this career. I gotta build. I gotta be this president. I gotta do all of these things, because I was so reliant on having that title as a means of self-fulfilling, fulfilling my life, that I was forgetting the holistic. When we talk about the 10 dimensions of wellness, that there's a holistic piece to it. And so that's why now when I talk to clients and they come to me, usually they'll come to me for like career branding or a transactional type of service, resume writing, etc. I literally sit down with them and I start asking questions, because I'm like, we really got to get to the root cause of, sometimes it is just I need a resume, right? But we really need to get to the root cause of why you may be having some challenges in your career, because you can't just look right past stuff.
Yeah.
You actually have to stop, acknowledge the wins, but you also have to acknowledge the challenges, because just because you keep going, it does not necessarily mean that you're the strongest soldier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You are absolutely right about that. Now, you talked about your wellness, and tell us some of your wellness practices that you have implemented into your routine that you found are impactful in your life right now.
I can give you that standard answer of like, well, I'm mindful and I take deep breaths.
No, really? You got to keep it real on this one.
Right. Really, it has just been being a proactive, being emotionally aware. I talk a lot in my coaching about emotional intelligence and learning that no is really a whole sentence, right? So I really have implemented structure in my life where I have boundaries. I say no. I manage my schedule. I don't try to overwhelm myself with anything, because again, I think that once you're in that position to where you are using your career or other, it's just like being addicted to a drug, right? That addict, they can't stop pursuing. Sometimes we do that with some of the things that we pursue in our life, right? We are doing it, and it's such an unhealthy thing that we're doing, so that we don't even realize that what we're doing, we're using it to compensate for something. And we get to that point where we have to really take a step back. So when you talk about the mindfulness practices that I use, is proactive mindfulness management. Is meaning that I've learned to put boundaries in place, but it is something that I have to constantly monitor, right? I don't try to overbook my schedule. So, I love doing these podcasts and all of that stuff, but I can't do 2 or 10 of these a day because I still work a full-time job. So it's about balancing it out. I don't overwhelm myself with clients. I charge a price that, and so it's like looking at things holistic. I charge a price where if you sit down with me, it's going to be well worth it for you, but it's also worth it for the time and energy that I put into working with you. So it's looking at your life holistically. And yes, I take deep breaths. I take the walks. I incorporate those practices in my life, but it's about more than that. It's about you really being proactive and actively managing your life and not tuning out. And I can honestly say that is something that I have to proactively work at, because if I allow myself to get overwhelmed, I will tune out and just go into that automatic mode. We call it allostatic mode in health, right? You go into that automatic mode. The outside, people are like, oh man, look at you. You're just doing it. You're a go-getter, but not really realizing that that's all that really that sometimes people are doing it, they're not even conscientious of their own mental health, or
I was just
they're
getting
doing
ready to say,
it on the
listen,
side, right?
we had a conversation on the show Dear Black Woman where we talked about the masks, the many masks that Black women
Mhm.
wear, and that one of those masks is that quote unquote strong Black woman, that
Yes.
woman that's doing all of this stuff and she just looked good. And Lauren posed the question, she said, why is it that we never see the total breakdown? Why is it that we only see the good and then we see the really bad? And I said, that's because we're too busy covering up what's going on in between, so that we actually, you don't see what the decline of it really is. So I get exactly what you're
Yeah, it's a
saying.
beautiful facade.
Yeah,
It's a
it
beautiful
is.
facade. Especially people see me. You get a title. You know, I'm Dr. Taylor. I'm doing all of this stuff in the community, but honey, on the inside, I was just burning down. But again, I was so busy keeping myself moving that until it just somebody put that final pin in it, and I just kind of was like, I had to go to a therapist and
Yeah.
recognize, okay, this is what I've been doing for 7 years of my life.
And you can't do that. Now, listen, consistency and self compassion are key values in your approach.
Mhm.
How have these qualities shaped your own wellness journey and your outlook?
Again, when I talk about proactive management, that's what we're talking about. Proactive mindset management. That's what we're
Hmm.
really talking about, paying attention and being consistent, because it's not going to be easy when you make up your mind like, hey, I'm going to be proactive about saying no, being balanced. I'm also going to be proactive about my thoughts, because what I attract, you have to monitor all that. I'm
Yep.
sorry, there's a lot of coaches out here that'll say they're mindset coaches, and I'm a mindset coach too. But one thing that I'm going to always tell you, and I think that if you're a coach in many ways, no matter what you're doing mindset coaching.
Yes,
If
you
a
are.
coach wakes up, and if you hire a coach or you're working with a coach or you're listening to anybody speaking, they're telling you, once you tell yourself that it's going to be great, then it's great. Yeah. Okay. It's great, but you still human.
I
So
was
you
going to say
still
it's
gonna wake
great,
up
but
every day, and
yeah,
sometimes this is just, it ain't gonna be feeling that way, right? You know, so you're gonna have to battle, still deal with your own mind. That takes a while. And that's why that's why a lot of times when I'm dealing with clients, or just even when I'm talking to any kind of leadership development, professional development training that I do, I incorporate that cognitive model, because the same way that I work with people to get to the root cause of what is their obstacle or roadblock that's keeping them from getting to the next level in their career, that same model and that framework that I designed literally is what is keeping organizations from moving forward, right?
yes,
Because it's
yes,
organizational culture, as well as, so what we would call mindset, individual mindset in a corporate environment, that is organizational culture,
yes.
right? Because that's the organizational mindset. So, and those are the ways that we look at it. You have
Okay.
to be consistently working on it. I was just saying today, because we were talking about, and I'll talk a little bit more about my decision to like enter beauty pageants, right? What made me jump into that at 41. And I was really thinking today about somebody who I had did a podcast with, and we were talking about this thing called the power of yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't there yet, but I'm gonna be. And that's kind of how I approach that situation. Like anything that you are doing when you're talking about being consistent and you're dealing with your mindset and having to deal with the reality of the challenge, whether it's the next spot in your career or even trying to win a beauty pageant, it is like, okay, I might not be there yet,
But
and
I'll
I
be
might
there
even struggle with
soon.
the
Yeah.
confidence, but I absolutely have the open mind, a growth mindset, that I'm
Yep.
going to do what it takes to get me there, right? To get me to that next level. So there, sometimes in this, the power of yet sometimes can be so much powerful than just focusing on the absolute, because the
Yes.
absolute can make you feel like if it don't go your way, it can almost feel like you delusional. But if you focus on
Yeah.
the yet, that'll help you stay more consistent. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to be.
I love it. I love that. Now, you talked a little bit about you entering into this beauty pageant, but in our pre-interview, you talked about how creativity and problem solving are some unexpected benefits you discovered from your healthier lifestyle. It sounds like those are not the only benefits that you discovered. What else have you discovered, and how has this impacted your own life and approach to work?
Well, I discovered one that we gotta make a decision about how we're going to express our creative outlet, right?
Yes.
You and I are both creators in our own way, and each person has their own innate God-given ability to create, and you have to own and embrace that. And one of the things about making a decision to have balance or to focus on balance in a way that works for me is, being able to express myself in these different ways and embracing that growth mindset that allows me to do those things. Like, I know you're going to be moving soon. I saw that you posted that, right? That's that creative outlet, right? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to embrace the challenge. I don't know what's going to happen when I get there, but that's that power of yet. So it's the same thing, like me being proactive. And it's just like, okay, even with the health thing and being a health educator, I was literally thinking like, okay, I'm in the military. I don't enjoy running 5 miles. That's never been my thing. My physical fitness is like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm gonna get it done. But I was like, shoot, me deciding to do beauty pageants, I was like, that's gonna make me keep myself together, right? Because I'm trying to be cute, I'm trying to be snatched. So you gotta find different things to motivate you, even when you're not like totally motivated. Of course, being in the military, I'm motivated because I'm gonna meet the regulation, right? But I'm looking for a different level of motivation, one that's like something that's really fulfilling to me. Like, okay, right? So I think that we should always be challenging ourselves. And as we learn these lessons, keep an open mind to like not limit ourselves to what we can do and where we can go. And that's the same thing. Like when we talk about occupational wellness, that's even in your career, your business, whatever you pursue. And don't put a cap on it. Just try it, because all it can do is burn down. And I promise you this. Every time you do something, you quote unquote fail, that's tuition that you pay for your success, right? That is because the next time that you do it, I can't tell you, even as an entrepreneur, how many times I've tried to do something and it's not worked out, right? But remember, we were talking, and I talked about my clothing brand. I literally, it still ain't where it should be or where I want it to be. But I literally on a Monday started notifying people that, hey, I'm about to shut this Shopify store down. That was literally on a Monday. We had a video take off that has gotten over 11 million views. That Monday, I had 200 followers.
Yeah.
Okay? Now I got close to 3,000. That was only in about a month and a half ago. So I'm just saying, keep an open mind to the possibilities.
Well, you see what I'm doing with Dear Black Woman.
I love it.
Like I after what I went through, I moved back home thinking I was about to be just a chef and a nutritionist. And look at everything I'm doing right now, all the way down to clothes.
Right. I mean, I started Careerhood because I was like, I like the little idea of, although in my business and WORxK Solutions, I'm very serious, right? And I'm focused, but Careerhood is something fun where we are sarcastic, clean sarcasm, right? But Careerhood clothing is really focused on that good, clean work, humor, leisure wear, and just funny things for to help people just enjoy themselves and the humor in work life. But the point is, Cammie, we both are women who use what we got. We started where we are, and we are using what we have to get where we want to go. So if you're listening to this and you're talking about, I was talking to a young lady yesterday, and she was trying to figure out her next step. And I said, my question to her as a coach was, do you have a creative outlet? Because maybe this is the direction you should focus on. And me and you had this conversation too, right? So many times we get caught up in that pursuit of title, that pursuit of the money. And we want the money, most definitely. But if you have a creative outlet, maybe that job is just what it's designed to be, to pay your
job.
bills, right? And so I think a lot of times as Black women, we miss out on that creative piece because now there are some of us who genuinely want to take that corporate route. I get it. But we miss out on that creative piece and our potential in that space because we're pursuing somebody else's dream. Unless pursuing that is really our dream, right? That's different if you want to go that route.
Some of us do wake up and decide we want to be the marketing director of such and such company.
Yes, absolutely.
Most of us,
we live in mama's dream, because remember, we come from we're not too far from our grandparents in 2 generations ago when working a good stable job 8 to 5. You get that job and you stay there 30, 40 years. And I'm like, I can't see myself doing anything 40 years, now, maybe marrying somebody.
Okay. Now, occupational wellness is is just as important in any other form of wellness, but it's often overlooked. What does that mean to you personally, and how has it changed your perspective on career and your well-being?
It's absolutely everything that I've said to you in this podcast. Occupational wellness. A lot of people don't realize when we talk about the dimensions of wellness, when you're talking about occupational wellness is related to your career. So all of the things that I'm talking to you about today is exactly the answer to that question. There is a distinction between you having a job and a career. When you literally look up a job, and I used to tell my students this in my health classes, when you look up the definition of a job is literally a repetitive, mundane task. So if you think about like how working, not hating on working at McDonald's or fast food, but they literally, the people who design like working at McDonald's, where this week it's the floor, next week it's the fries, right? Remember that Country West Side? But you have somebody on fries, you have somebody, they designed it to be a job because they designed it to be like a manufacturing type of setting, right? Where you do like an assembly line. Well, if you can take that job and turn it into a career, because you might become a manager, a general manager, but truly your career is that thing you love and you enjoy. And I was thinking this morning, you at work 8 hours a day. If you, in my situation, it could take up to an hour and a half to get there. So what, you already at almost 12 hours of your day gone. You're trying to sleep for 8 hours. And then if you have a family, you might get 7 to 8 hours with them when you get home, if that much, right? And then within the context that you're doing homework, schoolwork, projects. So where is the real time that you actually have for yourself? And I'm going to tell you something, that impact of your job, it adds up. So if you're working in a miserable environment, that has an impact on your health. If you're not happy with what you're doing, that has an impact on your health. If you're not balanced in terms of saying, I will work myself up to a point where I'm tired, but then I'll just have moments where I cut things off and I'm like, I'm not going to take any clients for the next 2 weeks because I'm going to be focused on this project, right? Okay. And I know that I can't do it. So yes, occupational health absolutely affects your overall health. And I would even say this from an environmental standpoint. If you are working in a factory, or when I worked in the Glades and we had those sugar cane plants out there, and they would burn the sugar cane fields to renew it to plant rice. Right. I stayed with some type of respiratory issue.
From that. So let me ask you this. What are some common misconceptions about occupational wellness, and how do you address those through your program?
People absolutely just don't acknowledge it. When we talk about the dimensions of of health, most of the time it's physical, mental, emotional. They might do interpersonal or social, especially, I've seen over the years, dimensions of wellness grow from 6 to 7 to 8 to 10. So in a lot of the language around it is new. Most people are just focused on physical, mental, and emotional. They are not acknowledging the impact that your career or even your job can have on your life. It's those things that I just mentioned to you, right? And so when I talk about me doing holistic coaching with an H and an O, an H and a W, I'm talking, one, if I'm coaching you from the W standpoint, I'm focused on the whole person concept, right? Yes. Developing your leadership, enhancing your soft skills, supporting you, through the process of learning. But when I talk about holistically with an H, and we do just generally call it holistic career coaching, and that's one of the certifications that I have, I'm talking about that mindset piece is going to play an important role in it, right? Yes. I'm asking you about, how does your schedule look in terms of your workload, day to day? How does that look with your family life? I still say it, work-life balance, but I started to actually try to use new language, which is work-life integration. Yes. But what I tell clients is when we talk about work-life integration, that does not mean that you up at 11 o'clock taking a meeting. It just means that, especially now that a lot of us are working from home or teleworking, that you still have a cutoff point, or if you balance it out where your day is still balanced, but you're not like because if I say work-life balance, that's hard to do, honestly. Like that's the buzz term, but work-life integration is a little bit more realistic because I might be in the middle of the day taking a meeting and then I might go grab some coffee. Like I'm looking for those things that's going to balance my life, but it is absolutely not. I'm going to be still doing work on my computer at 11 o'clock at night. That's not a part of my business, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, when helping clients set goals, how do you guide them to choose goals that align with their values and foster a healthy, like we just said, work-life balance or work-life integration?
Well, I would encourage you guys to read my book, The Introduction to the REBTDEIA Framework, which I have a copy of right here. This is actually a research guide, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because I wrote this from a corporate standpoint, but it's absolutely my coaching model. Before I do anything with you, right? We're going to do an initial session. I'm going to ask you, what are your goals? And I'm going to just take some notes. But really, the goals come in that second or third conversation because before we can really set goals that you can reach, we got to get to the root cause of what the issue is.
Yes.
Because once you get to the root cause of the issue, that's when you can actually identify the goals that are going to result in systemic and systematic change in the individual's lives. We both are in health, and we know this theory called trans-theoretical theory of change.
Yep.
That's basically saying that an addict is not going to change until, no matter how many times you put them in rehab, an addict is not going to change until they're ready to change. That's
they are ready to
like controversial programs like needle exchange program. So think about that in regular life.
See, I apply that when it comes to food because, and I literally tell my clients that you're not gonna make a change. It don't matter, no matter how much I want you to or how much information I provide you, until you tell yourself that this is something that you have to do and you need to make this change for your health.
And that's the same thing when it comes to their career or anything that I'm advising on when it comes to life. Like I'm going to listen to your initial goals. I'm going to take notes, right? Because they might be the same, but there's not going to be actually. And I think that's if we're using this model, Cammie, that's what distinguishes us from other coaches, right? Because typically a coach will just say, well, what are your goals? What are your career goals? Or what is it that you want to change? Let me make you a nutrition plan. Okay, let me do your resume. But you actually have to have real conversations with people to get to the root cause of what is causing them to be in this situation, what roadblocks, what mindset obstacles, and help them to
overcome those.
Overcome it. And sometimes that itself becomes the goal. Like giving them resources and strategies to help them to remove that mindset block or that habit that's going to change. Because I can write you the best resume in the world, but if you don't believe that you're going to get the job,
it's not going to make a difference.
It's not going to happen, right? Because you're attracting that energy to you. That's that limiting mindset, that limiting belief.
For me, it's really when like I had to disassociate and detach myself from my nutrition clients because I know my meal plans work. I know my programs work. And people would get mad at me because they'd be like, well, I didn't lose the weight. Well, did you follow the meal plan? Well, I followed it for a week and then I did this and then I did that. I said, well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So when you decide that you want to go on that 30-day meal plan, and literally it's a book. It's a book. It's got the recipes. It's got all of that. Now I'm about to take the meal plan and add it to the journal because I'm finna stop talking to y'all. I'm about to just start giving y'all books and say, if you decide to do this, it's up to you to do it. But if you don't decide, hey, it's not my responsibility. I have provided
all 2025. I said I am fresh out of free because I don't mind consulting with you, right? But this is why we developed our 10 quick tips career branding guide, and we made an introductory course to. We call it the prescription for standing out, right? That teaches people the foundation for absolutely how to brand your career. And the reason why I did it is because I said, okay, if you download the free guide, if you take the course, or if you at least look through the free guide and get some idea of the type of services that we provide or the level of advice that we're going to support you with, and then you come to me, that will at least let me know that you are really ready for change, right? If you leverage the resources that I have that are already free, because as a
Yes.
coach, I cannot change you, but what I can do is equip you with the tools and the resources to be here to champion you along the way. But the resume itself should get you interviews. You should
Yep.
at least get some interviews, right? Some inquiries, because
Yep.
I really have that with my clients. But that's one of the reasons why I include interview prep for all of my clients, because I'm just like, I'm going to take it a step further because I want to help you get the job. But even with all of that, the resume writing, the career branding piece, the interview prep, if your mindset is not there, you're not going to be able to reach that next level.
You're absolutely right. Now, some people struggle with setting boundaries at work. What are some practical tips you will offer clients who are learning to protect their time and their well-being?
Remember this famous line, my office hours are 9 to you got
For
it.
those of you who have not seen that movie, that comes from the movie
The
The
5
Four
heartbeats.
Heartbeats. The Five Heartbeats. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah. So if you need to know my office hours, they
My
are from
office
9 to
hours.
5. And he made that very clear in that movie. Okay.
Right. And so sometimes it can really be a struggle. I'm being realistic. It can be a struggle when if you're going that corporate route, you really have to first really know the environment of the culture that you're working in before you decide to push back on certain things, right?
Mhm.
One, I'm going to actually be in a workplace anti-bullying summit next month, talking about some of this very stuff. Learn the culture and the environment that you work with, because you should even be able to tell before you even go in the interview. Value yourself enough to know I need a job, but not just any job. And although I might have to take a job to get me started, I'm at least owed some level of due respect. Because let me
Yeah.
tell you something, most of my clients have a bachelor's degree or above. So if anything, if all else fails, you can always go to a temp agency and go and work at a school as a substitute until you get where you want to go, right? Until you find something where you're going to be respected, because the bare minimum that you deserve at a job is to be respected. I would rather work at Popeyes. And I always tell people the thing with me is I'm gonna work where I'm respected. If you come to Popeyes and you open the drive-through door and I pop out in delivering chicken, my pride is, I'm not that prideful where I feel like there's dignity in work, right? Mm-hmm. So one, when you go to the job interview, you should be scoping out the environment even prior to you going to that interview, because you've researched the organization. You know that even if this is not the job I want forever, is there a minimum level of respect?
Yes.
Right? That's what you deserve from a human standpoint. And then if you're dealing with, when you go into an organization and you're able to really understand the culture and how that works, that'll give you some insight in terms of how to speak up for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And then you just make that commitment. If you're not getting paid, if my office hours are 9 to 5, you have to redirect. Okay, so if my manager's giving me multiple projects and due dates, so which one, you with your understanding of the culture and you're approaching them in a professional way. So realistically, I'm not going to be able to, since you assigned this additional project, which of the projects that you've already assigned me would you like me to push back so that I can prioritize this current project?
Right.
And what I'm telling you, baby, is that I'm not about to be working to 10 o'clock at night to meet your deadline.
Okay.
All right. Now, so you really have to understand the culture and be level-headed and not be emotional when you're approaching that, because you do need to speak up for yourself.
Okay. Now, what are some indicators that someone's job may be negatively impacting their personal well-being, and when should they seek support?
The mere fact that you have to think about it, the mere fact that you're frustrated, the mere fact that then it's impacting your well-being. The mere fact that you're going home miserable. If you find yourself being consumed with thoughts of your job, I don't want to go to work because, this person might say something to me. I don't want to go to work, or I'm just frustrated because somebody ate up my lunch for the 65th day. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, if you consistently thinking about it and it's all negative, if it's consuming your life, if you are generally a happy person and you're snapping on people for no reason, right? You're being
Mm-hmm.
more aggressive and frustrated, and you don't know where that's coming from. Most likely it's coming from your job. Like if you're going home to your family and the littlest thing is making you frustrated, most likely it's the pressure that's coming to you from work. So that's why I keep always saying pay attention to the environment that you're in, because
Mm-hmm.
the very, very minimum that you should expect from a job is to be respected. Also remember that your job is a business. It doesn't matter if it's nonprofit, for profit, if they're giving away clothes and everything for free. You work
Right.
there, and so it's going to operate like a business, right? And
Right.
no matter what they say, right, it's still a business, and they're going to make decisions based on the mere fact that they're a business and what's best for their organization. So you need to be consciously aware of the culture and how things operate. Don't think that you are cool or have a great relationship with somebody that they want, because things can turn quickly.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, okay, you mentioned one of your books before, and you have many books and resources that have helped many people on their wellness journeys.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who is new to occupational wellness, would it be the same book that you just recommended? If not, which one of your resources would you recommend they start with?
A lot of my books, they focus on women, and I also have a prayer guide. So I actually, my first products, I have a book called Ace the Medical
Hold on,
Interview.
hold that one up. What's that one
Okay.
called?
This one is the Career Mindset Reset Journal for Women.
I love that.
And this is a 42-day journal. It's available on Amazon. I'm not sure if you can really see it.
You can't see it, but that's okay. You said it, so there you go.
It's
You see it
available
right there.
on
Yep.
Amazon. This is a 42-day journal, I believe. And it's 42 days of reflection to help you, 45 days of reflection to help you build that career mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
This book is more of a corporate book, but it's my framework. Okay, it's the model that I use. Make sure you copyright and protect all of your work and your research. And then I also have a book called Prayer Works. So whether you're doing this from a religious standpoint, that Prayer Works is a 30-day journal. I actually have a workshop called the Prayer Works Transform Your Mind, Transform Your Career workshop coming up on November 16th. I'm not sure when this will air, but that's a regular part of my curriculum.
Yo, this one airs on November. I want to say November 16th as well.
Okay. So that workshop, we will be offering it on a regular basis. But I have a 30-day journal. I have my career mindset transformation journal.
No. It airs on November 13th. See, I corrected myself. So before your actual summit, before what you got going on. So if you listening, at the end of the show, Dr. Kristy is gonna give you her website and stuff. Jump over on her website and be one of the few people that sign up at the last minute to get on this Prayer Works workshop and conference.
Yeah, so I always start with, because when we talk about the mindfulness portion and the holistic, a lot of my resources, I do have a book, Ace the Medical Interview and Prevent a Cold Blue. I wrote that book in 2019, and I wrote that, and it's still going strong. That book is available on Amazon, and that was specifically for healthcare professionals. But that was when I was coaching and I was just serving healthcare professionals. But then I decided, I can be a greater prescription for change. And so in the last couple of years, I've released those journals. And I also have one that's forthcoming where I'm really focused on, the journal is really focused on women in social impact. And then I also have my own book, which I won't drop the name yet, but that's talking about my personal.
I think we talked about that already.
Yeah.
Yep, we did.
One thing I'll say, Kimmy, in talking to you, when I was writing my own book, book about my personal story, I decided, you know what, this is going to be volume 1, because you like to drop series, right? And I said, I'm going to do a series. This is going to be volume 1.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Witnessing client success motivates you. Can you share a memorable transformation story that reaffirmed your commitment to occupational wellness?
You know what? Absolutely. I had a client, she wrote me one of the best reviews ever. So I won't say her name for privacy, but I'll say this. She came to me and she had this, it was like 15-page curriculum vitae. And she was like, I work in the federal government and I'm just ready to do something different, right? And I got all this hands-on clinical experience, but I want to be like this, administrator and leader. And I said, well, you ain't going to get there with this 13 pages of beauty that we would use in academia. So I condensed it down to a corporate resume, which is about 2 pages, right?
Okay.
And the thing I really have added to my interactions with clients is those consultations. So I think, in this age, people actually want to talk to real people and sit down. We sat down for an hour and I asked her questions. We had a conversation about her career and I wrote that resume and I said, now go look for a job. So then I would say like a month later, she's texting me. She was like, I got an interview for like this VP position. And then she went through the process and they lowballed her on the salary. And I said, well, don't take it because you know your worth, right? You got enough experience, you can get what you want. And literally about 2 weeks ago, she was like, oh my God, I have an interview with my dream. Like literally, I never thought I would work for this organization. And not only did she get the job, but she got the offer that she wanted. That client was literally looking for an opportunity where she would have that better work-life integration. Okay. Better balance. And not only did she get it and pursued it, and like I told her, don't limit your mindset in terms of what you can do. If you want it, you can get it. And she not only got it, but she got it at the dream place that she's always wanted to work. So this is happening all the time with my clients. It is not uncommon for a client to call me. They want a job now. So they'll call me like 2 weeks after their resume done. It's like, nobody's calling me. And I was like, give it some time.
Yeah, you can't, it ain't gonna happen right away.
Now that wasn't the situation in that case, but that has happened a lot where, people are just in a rush to get a job and it's like the anxiety, but just to kind of see that. And I also have a beautiful young lady that I'm working with now, and it's just been amazing to watch, the holistic transformation of being able to help her and support her through, in this case, I'm helping with branding to grow the business, which is something that's unique for me because I typically only focus on career branding, right? But I'm watching this person blossom and evolve, and that has been very rewarding because I'm taking the blueprint of what I've done for my business and teaching her the art of starting where you are and building with what you have and then keep building. And it is beginning to work for her.
Good. I love that. I love it. Now, how do you coach clients to maintain consistency with wellness goals, personal goals, and occupational goals, especially when life or work becomes demanding?
Remember with that conversation we had earlier about identifying the root cause? Well, that has to be the first conversation because, oh my God, have you ever, you have, because we just said it, clients who are on a hamster wheel. They are consistent, but it's consistently on the hamster wheel. Yeah. And I'm like, when you talk about coaching clients to be consistent, the first thing is to coach them off that hamster wheel because I got a lot of people who are consistently doing the same thing that's kept you in the same place for a long time. And my job as a coach is to coach you out of that. And so that's why when we talk about consistency in terms of being your personal well-being, your occupational health and wellness, any area really, the first thing is to identify that root cause and create a plan to immediately address those issues that are causing you that roadblock. Whether it's putting boundaries in place, putting yourself on a schedule, giving yourself some structure. Because sometimes, even though you might want to be the VP or you might want to open this business, until we really know what is those habits and mindset principles that are keeping you from getting where you want to go, you're not going to be able to change the way you eat, honey. And I don't even do nutrition. Right. So that's how because we get a lot of consistently not doing what I told you to do. Right. And my goal is to just, I don't want to waste your money or my time.
I have done that before where I have had a client who came back to me and I said, well, I gave you 6 months worth of meal plans. Why are you on my phone? Because I'm not going to take your money. I say, I ain't even that type of person. If I wanted to take your money, I would take your money, but I'm not that type of person. I gave you 6 months of meal plans. You were with me for 6 months. And your pastor told you that you needed to come back to me because he recognized that you was not doing what you had been doing and that your eating habits had gone back to the old ways. So the fact that you got the plan, Why not just pick up what? Yeah, like I'm not taking your money. No, I'm not
No, I'm
interested.
not. I'll tell a client, okay, let's book. Well, I'll give you 15 minutes for free. That's all I got if I know you're serious after you download. But after 15 minutes, we got to wrap this conversation up. We wrap it up, because if you can't get to where you need to identify, okay, what at least what, like I said, those first set of goals are usually sometimes superficial, right? But if you can't come to me and at least have some type of conversation, and then that conversation allows me to assess your willingness to change.
Yep.
But I'm not going to be on the hamster wheel with you, and I'm not going to take your money.
No. All right. This is my last question for you, Dr. Kristy. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to our listeners about taking the first step towards occupational wellness, what would it be? And when you're finished with that, go ahead and tell them where they can find you online.
So the first step is what I've been saying in terms of start where you are and use what you have. You don't necessarily have, it's just like being a leader. Leadership does not necessarily always go with a title. It is about that person leveraging the skill set that they had to have to bridge a gap and to take charge. So the same way that I'm describing a leader, you have the opportunity to bridge the gap in your own life and to take charge. And even if you feel like you don't have all of the resources, usually you at least have your mindset, right? And recognizing the power of you being able to leverage your mindset, because if you change your mindset, you change your life. That's the advice that I'm going to give to you. I love to say from a career standpoint, transform your mindset, transform your career, but that really applies to anything. Transform your mindset, transform your life. In terms of where you can find me, I'm easily accessible on my Instagram account. My personal Instagram account is Dr.Kristy Taylor. So Dr.KristyTaylor. And then you can find me, my professional business page, across all platforms at WORxK Solutions. That's WORxK Solutions LLC. We have a good following on TikTok. We're growing on Instagram as well as Facebook. We post career tips daily. You can check out our site. As well as eventbrite.com for some of the many events that we host throughout the year, from workshops to DEIA events. And you can also go to worksolutions.com/RX2025 to download our free standing guide to standing out, the prescription for standing out guide, which will give you 10 tips to help you address some of the challenges that you may be having in your career to get to your next level. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kristy, for being on this episode of the 10 Dimensions of Wellness. You guys, that is going to wrap another show. So grateful. And again, if you're looking for Dr. Kristy, across the bottom of the screen is the link to the virtual summit, where she will also be there speaking for 30 minutes, giving you more valuable information, some free downloads, some insights, some tips, all of that. And I am so grateful to have her as a part of the team working on that event. So with that being said, this has been another lovely, wonderful episode of today's 10 Dimensions of Wellness with Occupational Wellness with Dr. Kristy Taylor. A big thank you again to Dr. Taylor for sharing her expertise and empowering us with practical steps to balance career and well-being. Her message is a reminder that true success means achieving harmony in all areas of our lives. Remember, Dr. Taylor will also be sharing even more insight as a featured speaker at our 10 Dimensions of Wellness Summit. So be sure to check out our website for all the details and learn how you can join us. Thank you for tuning in. And if you found today's episode to be helpful, share it with someone who could benefit from these tips on occupational wellness. And don't forget to like, share, follow, and comment on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep striving for balance. Take care and stay well, you all.